right, we're going to keep this show rolling. So now I present to you Ben Guerrero and Anna Smith, who are going to talk about the JMU ArtsMobile.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Madison Trust presentation. You've probably heard a lot of presentations today, and some people want to change the world, and they have big, great, grand ideas. Our idea is smaller, more focused, and more local. We want to bring the JMU arts to the local community, and our idea is the JMU ArtsMobile. My name is Ben Guerrero. I'm a Preparing Future Faculty Fellow here at JMU, and I have a background in music education and music technology.
My name is Anna Smith. I am a visiting professor in industrial design, and I have a background in dance performance and choreography, which I did for 10 years before being in design for roughly 10 years as well. And I think both of us, with our education-focused backgrounds, make this like a good team and good project to work on together. So our goal here is to design, build an ArtsMobile to help JMU's exemplary arts and design programs engage with communities throughout and beyond the Shenandoah Valley. So we do have the College of Visual Performing Arts. We have our beautiful Forbes Center here, and all of these different design disciplines, or dance performing arts disciplines that you see up here, are interested in working on this project and overlapping and intersecting and finding places where we can work together to bring what we have at the Forbes Center out into the community, out into the broader scope of people who may not be able to make it to the Forbes Center themselves. Here's one example of that. This is the concert truck. They took a 16-foot box truck, turned it into a mobile stage, and they traveled all over the US performing at concerts, music festivals, impromptu things in the park. So a lot of different opportunities that we'd like to incorporate into our project as well.
One example from my hometown in El Paso, Texas is curbside opera. Once the pandemic hit, opera houses were closed, theaters were closed. The opera company didn't have an outlet for their singers to perform. And so it was a very basic, simple idea. Let's just go out in the neighborhood and sing in the back of a truck. And so they'd do viral marketing and do pop-up concerts. And as they got more funding and more support, they were able to get a flatbed truck, PA equipment, small stages set up in parks, and it's still an ongoing thing post-pandemic. And this idea doesn't originate from the pandemic. This is an example from 2016. It's called Rolling Res Arts out in South Dakota. It's the idea that people who live on reservations are often in remote areas and not in cultural centers like big cities and don't have the funding. And so this is an opportunity for arts experiences to go out to people in remote locations, in this case, on Indian reservations, and not just give them arts experiences, but they're able to bring their own culture and their own arts and share that with the outside world as this Rolling Res Arts bus goes around from reservation to reservation. So we've identified a need in the JMU community, Harrisonburg community, and the greater Shenandoah Valley community. There's this hunger for arts engagements, and we can see that in some of the small park festivals or engagements that already happen at JMU. But the problem is not everyone can make it out to the Forbes Center for all the events, especially those in the surrounding counties. And there's hopefully a way to get out to the community, and that's what we want to do with the ArtsMobile. And it's not just music, but dance and theater and design that we want to bring to the community. Not only that, but we want to get the community's input, the community's art, the community's culture involved in the students and faculty projects. There's this synergy that happens when you bring in local artists and local musicians. It helps augment the curriculum that's already happening here at JMU. and it brings a lot of value and performing opportunities for the students and community artists. Currently, the College of Visual and Performing Arts is working on a research project called the Harrisonburg Arts Needs Assessment, where we're identifying what art initiatives are already out there and what may be missing, and also regionally, specifically where these events are happening. And so we're able to identify from the data that we're currently gathering where we may be most effective.
So our approach would be multifaceted. So pop-ups with visual arts or exhibits, interactive performances, again, working with students and having students work with local musicians and artists. Again, Harrisonburg and our region we have a wealth of different people from different nations and backgrounds, so learning from each other culturally and artistically will help everybody grow, so that's something that we want to encourage and create the space for. So again, that creative exploration that we can have cross-generational and from the JMU campus and community to the outside community as well. Again, touching on research opportunities, these opportunities would be provided for students and faculty and staff that would be involved. So how do we, again, bridging those gaps between the community and the JMU community, and then just having hands-on workshops so that everybody, again, cross-generational potentially, but anybody from the age of 5 years old to adults could participate in these programs. Benefits kind of layer on top of that, so breaking those artistic boundaries that we might have currently and disrupting traditional practices. So again, just working with each other and learning from each other. All of the different disciplines that we showed earlier can interact and engage in interdisciplinary teamwork. Local research that we're looking at would be how do we benefit and how do we learn and grow from each other in the different communities and countries that we have within our community currently, and then how do we learn and grow from that. And then also being inclusive in our community artwork, so really valuing the people that we want to work with, and then broadening the opportunities that we have for students to get off campus, to get outside of the Forbes Center and experience art and performing art out in the real world. So current local arts opportunities that we have, obviously the Forbes Center, which we've been talking about. Explore More Discovery Museum works with students who are elementary age to middle school, but there is a little bit of a gap that we currently see already between the high school kids and then reaching that college age. So that's another bridge that we would like to help fill in that space as well. And then we do have Turner Pavilion and music series that's going on now, and then also the Levitt Foundation, who is starting a new series this summer. But how do we broaden and expand that stuff that we do have here and then bring things similar to that out into the community, our neighboring counties, and working with those folks and bringing that experience to them?
Currently, some outreaches that JMU does are events like JMU, Dance for Parkinson's, and Car Choir. And right now these are independent outreaches, and hopefully this JMU ArtsMobile will make a cohesion and a specific singular outlet that connects all our outreach together. In the proposal for the $25,000 ask, we've broken it down to the equipment, where we're going to be able to acquire a mobile unit that will take our events out there into the community, and whether that's rent or purchase, we will be using the funds for the actual vehicle or trailer itself. We've been looking at box trucks and everything that's out there used as well. For supplies and materials, whether it's art supplies, like we're going to do watercolors, or if we're going to be building things, have a maker space out in the public, we want to be able to have those supplies available. And any customer innovations that we want to do to the mobile vehicle that we acquire, we'll be doing with these funds. With the speakers on our area, we want to show the local community, local artists, local musicians, that we support them and value them. So we'll be able to have a small stipend for them for their own performances as part of our series. It'll help build relationships and build rapport with JMU and local artists. We want to set up a series of pilot engagements, and so some of these may be in neighboring counties, and we'll need some gas money to get out there to the people. And so we'll have some travel money for this proof of concept series of engagements. And then for our offline community, we'll have some postage and printing for newspapers and posters, because not everyone is online or on social media. So we want this to be a multi-generational outreach. And so we'll be doing the traditional media as well as online marketing. Now, whether we get less than 25,000 or more, it doesn't matter. We have set up a tiered plan so that we'll use every bit of the money that we do get and maximize it as much as possible. So tier 1, we're going to be renting most of our equipment per engagement. Events will be smaller, focused, so a singular arts engagement, and we'll have limited supplies. As we get more money, the equipment that we use, or vehicle, or whatever we're using, some things to be purchased. We can have medium-sized events, maybe multiple arts engagements happening simultaneously. And then tier 3, which may require some outside funding, will allow us to purchase an entire trailer, box truck, or vehicle, own all the equipment so we're not dependent on borrowing or renting from someone else. And larger events, a whole suite of arts engagements that we can supply year-round. And even though this would be JMU, it would be under the umbrella of JMU and the College of Visual Performing Arts, the independent management is that we're not reliant on borrowing equipment or anything else from other departments. We can independently set up our own schedule of events because we've purchased stuff. Some sources of this outside funding that we are currently looking at are 4VA, Virginia Commission for the Arts, and the National Endowment for the Arts.
So, hopefully with your help, we'll be able to bring the JMU ArtsMobile to life. Thank you very much for your time. We enjoyed being here, sharing with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. If you purchased the vehicle and there were maintenance issues, I didn't see that anywhere in there, where would that fall, or who would take care of the maintenance issues?
That would probably be under the first product, because especially if we get a used vehicle, and there are some out there, they're not only just upkeep, but just repairs just to get a used vehicle. So it's safe to use for the events.
A second question is, if it was a customized vehicle, is there the possibility of scaling it to where other organizations maybe could rent it, as in like you all are providing the team to drive it and all of that, but somebody's saying, hey, we want to rent this because we want to do something. Are there any thoughts on how you could
currently
have some additional income?
In terms of the College of Visual Performing Arts, in terms of dance, theater, and industrial design, they've all shown interest in this, both faculty and staff, and everyone that we've talked to. And so it's already has a lot of momentum, and even independent conversations. In terms of it being an entrepreneurial endeavor where it can be its own thing to rent, that is definitely room for growth. But as of now, if we were to do a dozen events, I would say over a year's time, I would say all of those would be claimed for, because that's how much demand
is
and
currently
talk.
in the amongst staff and students.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad idea to be able to potentially have that conversation for future.
So if somebody wanted to have like you all come to their event, they're paying you, is this correct? Or you guys are saying right now it's that it's being a service to the community, but it could be another way too.
It could be donation based, and it could also be an actual service.
Like an activation out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that would lend itself more to the Tier 3 independent management, where we can be of service to the community for a fee and raise funds that way.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have a question from the Zoom chat. How soon do you think you could be operational?
Oh,
We're not trying to be pushy, right?
not like tomorrow, but very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because of the initial ramp up on the tiers, renting a vehicle, getting students out there, getting faculty out there, and we've already identified all the equipment we can rent or borrow that we would need in terms of a mobile stage, chairs, tents, mobile PA system. All of that could be rent or borrowed already today. What our dream is like some of the pictures that you saw throughout. Some of those are large setups. Some of them have hydraulic doors and stages that pop out. Obviously, I like some of the larger ones are actually entire semis that fold open into a stage that already has the lighting and sound built into it. That would ramp up to a full-scale business. But in terms of us having this art outreach, there's already a need and a drive coming from the community and from inside JMU, so we can start as soon as we get
Fairly
funding.
soon, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
How many events can you do for this $25,000, do you think?
For that initiative.
I would, just a rough estimate, I would say 2 a month over a calendar year, so around 24. It depends. We've been trying to itemize it based on the different interests, and some people don't have supplies. They just need a piano and a microphone out there. So there's low-cost events, and then there's other events where we're like, oh, we want to have, a watercolor set and canvas for everyone. So those will be smaller supplies. And depending on how large the event is, do we need to get a tent and chairs and a stage? That'll cost more versus a small focused thing will cost less. So
I think that just scale and ratio depends, but it's definitely stuff that we can, move the bars a little bit to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing because there's interest all over the College of Visual and Performing Arts, making sure this vehicle is being used fairly amongst music and dance and design. It's not just a bunch of the same performances. So we've already had those conversations.
Yeah.
Don't forget insurance.
We've had that conversation.
Yeah, we've had that conversation.
Yes.
So another question from our chat room. Apparently, several people have asked this one. You mentioned in your presentation integrating existing programs such as Dance for Parkinson's and JMU Uke. How's this happen? How do you integrate them in to the ArtsMobile?
Oh, that's a great question. Inside the College of Visual Performing Arts is the Office of Creative Propulsion, and they are already in charge of some of these event and outreach programs. And in fact, this idea itself was brainstormed out of the Office of Creative Propulsion. And we've been lucky enough to be the ones asked to help organize this presentation and spearhead the project. So the buzz has been happening for at least a year now, and is culminated to this presentation. So in terms of everyone getting on board with this, I feel like those conversations have already happened.
And then, just to follow up, Rebecca was saying yesterday with JMU that she can go out to the local community here, but to be able to take it further is what she's looking for. So this vehicle would be a vehicle to do that in and with. Yes?
Would it just be a supply vehicle, or is it going to be activity-oriented vehicle?
Activity-oriented?
Good.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there was another one in the back.
Another chat room question, quick. Have you explored local partnerships with the other arts groups in the communities to help collaborate bringing this to life?
We have not spoken to them yet, but it's on our list of things to do, and definitely our list of who can we partner with and engage together and work together in the community. So definitely Harrisonburg Parks and Rec, Oasis and the different community of artists that work and present their stuff down there downtown already.
Public library.
So we have had that conversation, but we have not gone out into the community to have that conversation with them yet.
How's the marching band going to fit in there?
First we have to shrink them like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and then we just toss them all in. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other? I've got one more in the chat if we don't have any more from the room. One from the chat is, will you be asking for donations or contributions from those getting to enjoy the wonderful JMU Arts outreach that you'll be providing?
I think we'll be asking for donations, especially because this is a proof of concept and we are going to be definitely planning a full year of events. If we want that to continue beyond a year, we will definitely be asking for donations.
Yep.
So with that, I guess, is there a communications plan that you would have in place, or like funding to have that type of communication, like for people to make donations while they're there? Or what if it's gonna like snow all of a sudden and like in July, and how does that fall into communication or?
So there are a couple people inside of the College of Visual Performing Arts that have already said that they would offer their services in kind, whether it's communications, email blasts, marketing, calling, doing arrangements. Office of Great Propulsion, Office of Research for College of Visual Performing Arts will also be helping out. Yeah.
All right. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.